welcome to a CineFix Now table. We got tired of calling them roundtables because we were in that other room for so long, but we're back, and this table isn't round anyway, as so many of you have pointed out over the years and years of us doing this show. So we're back in the whiteboard room. Look at us.
Yeah.
Talking like real live adults with actual jobs. So how's everybody doing? Good.
I'm excited to be on a chair and not a terrible, uncomfortable stool this week.
It's nicer this way.
Yeah.
A place to put my tea.
There's a place for me to do this.
Yes.
Lean in.
A place to put our tea.
Right.
Take a nap.
Mm-hmm. Lacey's gonna take a nap. We're gonna do the rest of the thing. So
Lazy, more like lazy.
Oh!
First time ever, I bet, right?
Yeah. Never heard that before, T.
Okay.
Touche.
So this week we're talking. There's not a whole lot going on this week. We're getting into a conversation about how, you know what movie I finally got around to seeing? Blank.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna start with Christina. Ha!
I did, Jaws.
You had never seen Jaws?
I had never seen Jaws. I mean, it came out in 1976, so I was -7 or whatever.
It doesn't work that way. You just weren't born.
Yeah. Anyway, so I hadn't seen Jaws because I was obviously more than too young to see it when it came out. A couple months ago, actually, it was because the boss man here heard that a coworker had never seen Jaws, and he could not wrap his mind around it.
Well, rightfully so.
I actually sort of worry for said coworker's job, Cruz.
Cruz has never seen Jaws either. Never seen Jaws.
Cruz has never seen Jaws, and I think that Jeff might fire him.
I think he's seen 1,000 movies with cat girls in them.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, Cruz has seen all the movies that no one's heard of,
Yes.
but he hasn't seen Jaws.
Or Star Wars.
Or Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which is just dumb. This is why he's not even here, because
Yeah.
that, right?
Well, the entire thing would be him listing off
Exactly.
giant
Listing off
movies
important
everyone
movies
has
you've
seen.
seen. Okay, but
like in his defense, though, I didn't see Star Wars until I was in college, and that was only because I went to USC and I was going to classes in a building called George Lucas 101. And I was like, I should probably watch that.
you should watch Star Wars.
Man, what is wrong with all
But
of your
still, you were
parents?
18 at the time.
Yeah.
That's something. Not Cruz is what is he? 45, something like that.
He's a grown ass.
He's
man.
a grown ass man.
He keeps it vague, but he's old enough to have seen it by
Right.
now.
Okay, so having watched Jaws now, out of the context of when it came out, what did you think of it?
I mean, it was every bit as cool as you know it was supposed to be. I mean, I can't look at it and be like overrated or underrated. I mean, it was as advertised. There was a shark, and there were people getting eaten by the shark. And yeah, I mean, like, it was, I had to suspend my disbelief exactly as much as I expected. Like, obviously, I was very, very familiar with the concept of seeing Jaws by the time I got around to seeing it.
Still, I really enjoyed your summary. There was a shark.
There was a shark.
And there were people getting eaten by the shark.
Jaws is one of those example movies of the summer blockbuster, of the sort of monster movie that's not a monster
It was like the
movie.
one that started the summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
movie.
It's,
Like historically,
That
since
is the
Jaws, there have been summer blockbusters.
And it's the center of a bunch of debates. Like, is it a monster movie or is it a,
And it makes
action
Spielberg.
movie? Yeah.
Right.
So going and actually seeing it, the fact that it did live up to the expectation of appearing several dozen times in all of my, like, film studies textbooks.
Yeah, so how did you make it through all this class without seeing it until recently?
All the classes assumed it wasn't necessary, right? Because it's just like...
I just watched Pulp Fiction 10 times and called it a day.
And honestly, her summary is probably the exact same after seeing it as it was before it.
Well,
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of know what happens.
What was your favorite part of the movie?
Well, I mean, the part where the shark...
The part where the shark eats people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The part with the shark?
So you still haven't seen Jaws.
No, the part where the shark blows up.
oh yeah.
You know?
Smile, you son of a bitch. Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
But yeah, that was definitely long overdue, and it was basically because our boss's boss got wind of someone else's.
So you finally caved and watched Jaws because you eavesdropped on our boss yelling at somebody else for having not seen it.
Nice.
Okay, well, just so long as you know that took way too long for you to watch Jaws.
There are probably still other movies that I haven't seen.
Well, that's what I want to ask. Is there one that you know that's hanging over your head that's so big and it's embarrassing you haven't seen it yet?
Probably still The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, speaking of segues, truly.
I had just watched The Shining.
No way!
Never seen it. It was one of those movies that I thought I had pretty much seen the whole movie, just because you see so many clips and stuff. Is like
And the Simpsons
the
parodied it
memes.
so many
The
times.
Simpsons with the shinning and all of that like I felt like I had seen it, and then, so I sat down to watch Room 237.
Yeah.
And then it was clear within the first 30 seconds that I had not seen The Shining, and that I had certainly better go watch that before I came back to Room 237. At this point, it's not terrifying. Just because I think so many things have borrowed from it, and so like there have been so many tricks. But it's a really disorienting movie.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting from a directing point of view.
Well, Kubrick did a lot of. He was so detached and so clinical about like all of his movies that you're just kind of like just uncomfortable watching. Even Dr. Strangelove, his comedy, you're just like I can't.
Yeah, it really has like a f***ed up dollhouse feel to it.
Yeah.
Even going into like those big wide shots where he's just like a small man sitting in this like giant building, and it feels kind of like, and then they like go up the stairs, and they go over here and look through the hedge maze.
I don't remember.
I think it's...
Yeah,
I'm trying to place this part of the movie.
I think it's also less scary because you've seen all these Jack Nicholson roles since. I feel like if like you don't know as much about Jack Nicholson and you see The Shining, it's a little freakier.
He was a big star at the time.
He was, but like, you know, after that he was the Joker and As Good as It Gets and all those like
No,
and
that's
he's at
a
the
fair
Laker
point.
games.
We know him as an old man, but at the time he was the guy.
You can see that like they looked at The Shining and they're like, that's the Joker right there.
Yeah.
Because there's that same energy and everything sort of in Tim Burton's Batman. So it's really interesting from that perspective, but as a horror movie, it kind of fell flat for me.
Well, and the culture of horror movies has changed so much
Yeah.
because The Shining it predates slasher movies and it, you know, because
sure.
Shining was early 70s and Halloween was mid to late 70s.
Okay, then
right?
yeah, it probably does. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what was scary about that movie though, The Shining, is that really perfected. That was an early perfection of like the silence, and then like insanely loud, freaky rattle music.
Yeah.
That and a kid going
100%.
like that, and that's half what makes it freaky. Is like that kid's reaction to everything is like scarier than anything else. He's like, oh, and the music's like, ah.
The music that's like a real like an angry like train whistle that's also in pain somehow.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Is there a movie that you're embarrassed you haven't seen yet?
Is there another one on your list somewhere?
Oh, no, because it's always like... It's always something that I think I've seen because it's so like prevalent in pop culture. So it'll be something that I'll sit down to watch thinking I've seen it and just suddenly realize like, no, all of my context for this movie is like clips I've seen in other things.
Right.
So really, this is more a conversation about all of your memories being fiction.
Yes.
You might want to see a doctor about that. You should know.
Okay.
This is a separate issue, I think.
So movies that you haven't seen, they literally sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll say.
So your main problem is confusing seeing things with having heard of them.
Yes.
See, because I knew that I had only read about Jaws in my
It's like you've seen...
way to put that.
You've seen all of the clips. You've seen him like hack through the thing, and you've seen the twins, and you've seen like...
yeah.
And you see part of it on TNT.
Totally, yeah. I think we might all have a few movies like that, though.
Yeah.
Well, I guarantee you we all do. That's what we're doing
I
here today.
have 2 or 3 very embarrassing ones I haven't seen yet.
Let's hear about your first one.
All right. Well,
What
shoot.
did you see?
Because I was talking to you about what we were going to talk about
Yeah.
today, and you flipped out when
Yeah,
you realized
well,
one. So
well-
this better be good.
Well, this is the problem, though. First
you're
off,
already backpedaling.
First
I don't
off,
like this.
well, this is why.
Okay.
Because these guys are embarrassing. Jaws and The Shining. They're like, who hasn't seen those movies?
This is a safe
not,
table.
Not to
This is
be
a safe place.
judgy, but I thought mine was like gonna blow everyone away. Because there was the movie I saw it 2 weeks ago. I'd never seen it before. I went to a screening for it, and I was embarrassed I'd never seen it. But I don't think it's quite at those levels, but it's pretty bad. For the first time ever 2 weeks ago, I saw The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, okay.
I had
You know what? I think that's another one that I've just seen like clips of.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've never seen that.
So, okay, there you go. See, I don't feel for me. I was like, what? Because there's so many people that like just love that movie because it came out when they were a kid. It was their like quintessential like first adult sort of like kid movie, and like for some people it's like kind of the Goonies or like one of those things.
Yeah.
And so like they were always like dumbfounded I hadn't seen that. Like there was some kind of weird thing wrong with me. But I think the weirdest thing for me was I didn't realize that it was a musical.
I have seen it. That's right, because I remember sitting in front of it and being like, what the f***?
Yeah.
No idea what movies you've seen and what movies you haven't.
And then I remember, like, not only is it a musical, but it's a bad musical. Danny Elfman should not write, like, lyrics.
Not just that, Danny Elfman is singing. He's Jack Skellington. But I knew that there were musical numbers in it, but it's like it's like Les Mis. It's like almost nothing but music.
I had no idea.
And that shocked me. I did not know that.
I have to say, I'm surprised that, 2.5 of you hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
2 of you hadn't seen it, 1 of you wasn't sure.
It's a legitimately huge pop culture movie, right?
Yeah, but that was something I always felt like I was left out of because I saw that at the movies when it came out, so I was a kid or whatever. But I was just like, the singing.
But I always thought it was weird, and everyone always thought it was weird. I hadn't seen it.
I'm very surprised. That is a bit of a revelation.
I know,
that you hadn't seen that until recently.
I know. Well, that's why I had that reaction.
Yeah.
But then I heard Jaws, and I was like, I'm good. No one's gonna judge me that much.
I'm in no way defending my not having seen Jaws, but the reason you get that reaction is Nightmare Before Christmas has this sort of very fanboy, fangirl base population, and they cannot believe that people haven't seen that movie. They think it's the greatest thing ever.
The other one, probably slightly more shocking just because of the times we live in is, and there's actually a bad reason for this. I've never actually seen Titanic.
Me neither. Refuse.
Like, ever.
You're like making a point.
I'm making a point.
I feel like a semi-normal person right now.
I think that's a mistake because there's a lot there to like about Titanic, but it kind of got buried by like the girls that would go see it 10 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's kind of like...
Except I only saw it, like, that's the thing. I'm not embarrassed. It's not that I haven't seen Titanic. I've only seen Titanic once, which is so weird for
That's literally all you need.
a woman of my... Yeah.
I've had the truly experience with Titanic where despite me actively choosing never to watch it, I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not that obnoxious though, because I did the same thing for a while, like because it was in theaters for 60 whatever weeks. But I actively avoided it because it was so obnoxious, like how popular it was and that goddamn song and like everything was like, oh my god, you gotta see this. And then finally it got to be Christmas time and my whole family was like, we're going to see Titanic, and I was like, okay, fine. And it was actually it's not a bad movie.
Well, it's James Cameron.
Look,
I mean,
it's
he's
really
great.
quite
Billy
good.
Zane is stomping around. He's his old shit.
I do love Billy Zane.
Yeah, you do.
How can you? He was the Phantom. Come on. Yeah, the problem was, when it came out, when it came out, my friends and I, we were like, no, that's a chick movie. We're awesome bros. We're never going to see that. High five.
It's because you didn't want to risk crying.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. And then I think one of us saw it, and the other two, like the other guy, like shamed
You
him.
haven't spoken.
It's like, oh, dude, you're so whipped, bro. And it's like, the 90s. Now I'm gonna have to it's gonna be like, when people like back in the old days used to hide their porno tapes. I'll have to watch Titanic on the low.
Like you got Billy Zane, you got some Winslet cans.
The Winslet cans.
Just one can.
Yeah, it's just one.
That's what makes it PG-13.
If you do this,
So
it
you're
kind of
allowed
like puts it
one
together in
can.
your head.
Yeah, if you do this real quick, it like bounces back and forth. It looks like 2 cans.
At one point, like a little CGI guy bounces off a
Oldest
propeller
trick in the
in a
book.
way that'll make you wince.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know why you freaked out about that. Titanic, I kind of understand too. Anyway,
I feel like he should have like a moderate amount of being freaked out. It's surprising you haven't seen it, mostly because you're you.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's so much enthusiasm with people of our generation and slightly younger for that movie that I don't personally get.
I mean, look, if you love True Lies and you love T2, then like why would you kind of owe James Cameron, man?
No, we don't know. James Cameron's gotten plenty from us.
T2's one of the
He's
favorite movies
fine.
of all time, so,
Well, there's no easy way to segue into mine, because that's awkward.
Hey, Clint. So we've all been talking about the movies we haven't seen.
Yeah, it seems like I'm up next, though, right? Okay. Mine's actually more of a recent thing. I finally got around to seeing Snowpiercer.
So did I, like a week ago.
I watched it literally the other night, while my kid was screaming. So I saw most of it, but it was good. And I say finally got around to it because it was on demand for a while, and then we went straight to iTunes, and then it's on Netflix now. So I was like, ooh, it's free again. Here we go. But it was really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's been there for me to watch for a long time. You hated it?
There are a lot of people that hated it. Yeah, it is polarizing. I have a friend who I told he had to watch it, and he got like 45 minutes into it and stopped watching it. He just was not interested, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think I hit that point that your friend did, but I was just like, like, it's despite me knowing I don't like this movie, I have to see it through and see like how they wrap this up. And then the end was not worth waiting for me.
I thought it was so cool and dark. It feels very like Korean. You know, it's made by a Korean filmmaker. It feels very like Old Boy, very and it's real dark, like real dark. And
it's super dark, and there's no. It's the weirdest like. There is no hope, but also look at that hope kind of ending.
And Chris Evans is great. I really like Chris Evans, and I love him in that role.
Tilda Swinton is.
And she's amazing. Yeah.
With those teeth and the glasses, I loved it.
You want to know why I like this? I know I'm taking your time away here. It is like they made a BioShock movie.
I said exactly that when I was watching it. I was just like, this is just a video game. Like, now they're on to the next boss.
Mm-hmm,
the next level. And it was interesting, too, because, like, visually it even achieved that, whereas, like, a new world that Mario goes into with each car on the train. But still thought it sucked.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
hated it.
It was a very interesting... Sort of in the way that like Rear Window is interesting, how the camera never leaves the apartment in Rear Window. You know, it's like you're in this train with everybody, and you get to look out the windows occasionally, but there's very few like exterior shots. And in fact, when there were, it really took me out of it because ultimately the VFX weren't all that good.
It's like, oh, okay, the city's frozen. We get it.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah, but like the people looking out the window and all that stuff was I thought interesting.
But I think the director takes real artistic decisions that most people wouldn't do if they're making an American action film by any means.
I love foreign films and sort of like B-grade movies right now because they're so everything the rest of the industry is doing is so formulaic that like even if a movie is making a wrong choice, I appreciate it because it's different and I'm enjoying it.
Totally, I agree with that. I do have to say though, like going back to what you said in the very beginning, there's a weird meta next levelness to watching that movie while a baby is screaming in the background. For those of you who have seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. That's like, whoa.
I also cut my own arm off after I tried anyway.
Yeah, what do you still need to see, Clint?
I never saw Scarface. What? Never seen Scarface.
I literally said today to somebody that is one of my favorite movies of all time. I literally said that today.
That movie is a cartoon about cocaine.
It's the best. It is. It's like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah. It's one of those movies that I've seen, half a dozen scenes from.
Yeah.
But I've never sat down and watched Scarface start to finish.
It is the template for the modern anti-hero story. Right. Without Scarface, there'd be no Breaking Bad, there'd be no Sopranos, there'd be no Goodfellas. It is the template for that kind of movie.
Sure. I think I always sort of avoided it because of how many posters were in dorm rooms.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, forget that. I did manage to see Taxi Driver, though.
That's
in
good.
spite of that same phenomenon.
It's a great movie.
And The Usual Suspects.
Totally different.
No, I know, but it's just there's 3 posters in every dude's dorm room. It's Scarface, Taxi Driver, and Usual Suspects.
And Boondock Saints.
And Boondock Saints.
Oh my God, Boondock Saints.
Which I liked. But Scarface is kind of fun to watch in a weird way. Like, it's dark and violent.
Yeah.
But it's also funny in a weird way that it shouldn't be, but it is. But not in that you're making fun of it. It's just, it's kind of got a humorous thing going on.
Pacino's accent is a cartoon.
I was going to say, how offensive is Pacino's portrayal of a
it's silly.
He gets away with it because a great actor goes all out and doesn't care, but it's pretty bad. But you sort of like, you know what, he went for it, and you got to appreciate that he went for it, you know, like, and he went hardcore for it. Oh God, and he's so likable, and he's the worst. I love that movie. Top 10 without a doubt. Favorite movie of all time. Love it.
Well, it's on my list.
Gonna have to see it, buddy.
I'm gonna have to see it.
No.
Tea.
Is it tea time?
It's tea time.
All right, so mine it kind of covers a scope of things because mine is an James Bond movie.
Ooh. Any of the James Bond movies?
I had never seen any of them.
You've never seen a single
And
James
I just
Bond
watched
movie?
Skyfall in the past couple months.
Was that your first?
That was
James
my
Bond?
first and only.
There's like 27 movies. How do you avoid those?
That's why
They're literally
I think
making
I
the 24th
win.
right now.
Don't you?
I win the round
Oh,
table.
I'm glad we started over there.
Wow.
I don't know how much more of this I can take.
I was gonna say we were going in declining order of embarrassing.
Yeah, you win. You get the crown. I do have to say though, Skyfall is a good one to do. It is one of the best Bond movies in my opinion. I've seen most of them.
I didn't see what all the fuss was about.
Yeah, well,
But
in other
Did you
words,
see if-
it's
did you see
very
the first
embarrassing. I can't believe
26?
you've never seen it.
yeah, I mean, but here's the deal. I don't really care that I haven't seen the other ones because I know what happens. He wins.
Well,
You know?
Yeah, but true. I mean,
But you
He,
say that about
how many-
he gets
most
some
movies.
poontang, he gets some martinis, he gets some gadgets, and
Every-
then he wins. It's all the movies.
every
Do I need
action
to see
movie,
them?
every action
Yeah, but
movie,
is
they
he gonna
win.
ski down a mountain and suddenly turn into like a submarine?
Yeah, it's
You don't know.
He himself turns into a submarine.
Yeah, you might have just convinced me.
Yeah.
The point of Bond
okay.
movies is the set pieces, so it's not
Yeah.
really like the plot.
All right, so
Yeah, so that's why I've been like,
You
yeah,
need-
I'll do it later. For
you need.
my entire life.
He saves the world, but with panache.
Right.
And that's why people love him.
I love that-
Especially if the Connery movies are amazing. I think that's the one thing that we lack with Daniel Craig. As much as he's cool and a bruiser and stuff, he doesn't have that sort of like
There's
charisma.
no swagger.
Yeah, he has no swag
Yeah,
at
he's
all.
not quite- he's not
And-
quite as cool.
and
You know-
Sean Connery's got swag, unlimited
I
swag.
love that you're sitting next to Clint, who owns all of the Ian Fleming novels as well. Like that's how much he likes James Bond.
Wow. Well, clearly not me.
Clearly
I thought
not you.
Skyfall was kind of boring.
I mean, I'd like to think you should see at least one from every Bond, just so you
Oh
can.
Lord! I thought you were gonna say.
Skip Lazarus.
How about all
I
of
thought
us?
you
You
was
don't.
gonna
You
say
don't. I
one
mean,
more.
although on Her Majesty's Secret Service is underrated because Lazenby only did the one.
It's a good movie with a bad Bond. Let's each person pick one Bond movie for T to watch.
Yeah, you guys
Go.
knock yourselves out. I'm not gonna do it.
I've never willingly watched a Bond film myself.
You've never seen a Bond film either?
No, I just
Jaws and
I
Bond.
have male cousins. I have dad and brother and boyfriends who have all been like, we're gonna watch this movie. now,"
Okay.
and I've been
Okay.
like,
Christina says GoldenEye. That's right. Christina's pick is GoldenEye. Truly, what do you think?
You gotta go Thunderball.
Pussy.
Oh,
No.
Thunderball's great.
Thunderball.
Like if Octopussy is still on the
Tom
table by the
Jones
time it
song.
gets around to me, I mean,
There's a scene in Thunderball, an action scene that would still hold up today as like amazing.
Underwater?
Like, how
Is this
they-
is
yeah.
this Sean
Yeah.
Connery?
This
Just
is
Sean
Connery, yeah.
I think she might be a Roger Moore kind of Bond.
Maybe. Yeah. Live and Let Die is really good. That
Timothy
Roger Moore
Dalton?
one.
No, don't. Live and Let Die you might actually enjoy because there's a scene in Live and Let Die where, first of all, Sheriff Buford T. Justice is there, who's like, they're in New Orleans for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where they sort of Dukes of Hazzard over a river in this car, right? And as they're going over there, the sound effect. Guess what sound effect they use as the car's in the air over the river?
The old banana peel slip.
Close. It's a slide whistle. It goes.
Yeah. That's what it got.
And
Which one is this again?
Live and Let Die.
and
You
Let
might
Die,
actually
alright.
enjoy it because of how cheese dick it is. Roger Moore got old.
I can't believe how
in front of our
close
very
I was
eyes.
with the whoop.
Yeah, you were very close.
That was the only Bond movie he was slightly young in one movie. After that, he was Grandpa Bond for like 8 movies. For me, what I think is the best James Bond movie is the second one, From Russia with Love. That's a great movie. It's just a great movie by
It's a classic
itself.
title that you
It's
hear
the best
a
of the
lot.
books too.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It sets up the evil Bond henchman that he has to fight. It's got one of the best fight scenes in movie history. It's set in like all types of places like Constantinople. It's beautiful.
Like the best ones are like a travelogue where it's like, hey, come to sunny Prague and kill some people.
Yeah.
No, that is because honestly, that's how Ian Fleming writes all the books too. Is like he is legitimately more concerned with the meal that Bond is eating than like the books are
so that he can expense his trip to Istanbul, right?
He'll spend like 3 pages describing brunch.
Yeah.
It was the one Bond before it got really big. because the one after that was Goldfinger when they started. They made the formula in Goldfinger. Every James Bond movie is based on Goldfinger. So this was right before they.
There was Dr.
formula.
No, there was From Russia with Love, and then there was James Bond movies.
Every James Bond movie is Goldfinger, basically.
That being said, I think you should see Octopussy. That's a Roger Moore one.
I mean, the title alone.
The title is great. There's at one point he hides in an alligator. There's a circus there.
Yeah, he falls in the circus.
It's the Fabergé egg thing. It's all of those things. None of those things are connected, but they're all in the same movie.
That's why I think you might like the Roger Moore.
It's a
Bond.
Roger Moore one.
Taking the bullet on
Yeah,
this
you
tee
really
because
took
basically they could be addressing all of this to me.
Yeah,
And that's part of the fun of Bond is they're not great. There's not a single one of them that's great. They're campy and they're cheesy. And yes, he always wins, but like the fun of it is not will he win. The fun of it is like how is he going to escape and where are they going to work in a Union Jack parachute? You know, like that's part of the fun of the Bond movies.
They're kind of like the old Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a little like that.
It's like, you know he's going to get out of this like spinning carousel with like blades positioned everywhere.
Right.
But it's like, you're just along for the ride.
Yeah.
So my one movie that I still have not seen that like people are always aghast, Shawshank.
Never seen Shawshank?
Never seen Shawshank.
But did we determine
You know what?
it's
I don't
on
think I've ever
cable,
seen
like,
Shawshank.
80%?
I think I've seen all of the f***ing pieces.
TNT like all the time.
It's on TV right now.
But it's not. It's weird, but it's not like Jaws or Scarface.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
I
but
think
it's one where whenever I say I haven't seen it, people are like, "What?" Like they freak
they
out.
rip their skulls open.
Just because you were alive when it was like a thing,
Yeah.
but it's like
I saw a lot of Shawshank posters in college dorms.
That's
there's no different than someone being like, I've never seen American Beauty. I mean, and I'm not saying it's better.
That's a fair point. I think
but-
Shawshank. The thing about Shawshank is it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I feel like for some reason it gets a lot more love than it deserves.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's
Because
a
it's
bad movie.
literally on TV like 24/7.
For some reason, like there's an entire generation of us that decided Shawshank Redemption is going to be my favorite movie of all time.
Is
Yeah.
it really just the appropriate runtime to be cut into a 3-hour TV movie? Is that really the difference between it and, well, I think American Beauty would have a hard time being on TV.
They got cans in American
Yeah, they got
Beauty.
titties.
Dark.
I think the reason it's so
That are
popular
equally good.
is it's an acceptable movie where you're like, I'm so glad I'm not that guy. Like what Andy Dufresne goes through is so unfair.
Yeah.
It really sucks, but he clevers his spoiler alert, sorry T. He clevers
I'm
his way
clearly
out of
never
that.
going to watch this movie.
He clevers his way out of that prison.
You've got
right?
all these
And-
Bond movies to watch before you
and
get to.
I think we all feel like life is unfair. We all feel like sometimes we're put upon, and we all feel like we hope that we're clever enough to Andy Dufresne our way out of the prison. And I think that's why people love it.
No, it's all well and good. I'm saying it's a good movie, but it's interesting to me why that movie gets that reaction.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure why.
It's the
I've
Rocky
never
of
understood
prison
it.
movies.
Okay.
It's the Rocky of
But
prison
I think I would be a lot more
Yeah, think
indignant
about
if
it.
she hadn't seen
Think about
Rocky
it.
than
I
Shawshank.
have seen Rocky.
Well, Rocky's
Yeah.
There you go.
damn
I
American
did
classic.
actually see Rocky in film.
How about Rocky
101.
Rocky 4 is also a damn American classic.
as necessary as Rocky.
If it wasn't for Rocky 4,
skip 2 and 3.
the Berlin Wall would have never fallen down. I'm just saying.
Well, look, I think we all got a little closer as people and friends and colleagues.
And/or lost respect for each other.
I'm just gonna keep
And/or-
sending
yeah.
T like clips of Roger Moore.
Oh man, I'm gonna go find. There's got to be a like bullshit Roger Moore supercut on YouTube somewhere.
You guys owe me for falling on this sword like this. 'cause
No,
now
I
you
don't
guys
think it's fine.
also-
Like,
Oh,
I'm
whatever.
excited.
She never saw
Like,
Jaws. Come
yeah,
on
I feel
now.
like that's
Jaws
just
is
bad.
ridiculous. Jaws is so ridiculous. I can gloss right over that, but
Yeah.
I can fix you.
Yeah.
We have the technology.
Exactly. All right. Well, let us know what movies you're ashamed to have never seen, or movies you're glad you have just recently finally seen. So let us know what you think about all this in the comments down there. Click like and subscribe. Come back next time for more movie news and CineFix Now. See you later. Bye.